Getting ready to start an oil change on a 2013 Corolla S. I got the vehicle jacked up on jack stands. You do ramps too, make sure it's stable. Give it a shake. Take your little dress cover off. I usually pop off the fill just a little bit, cap just a little bit to get some air in, but just so it doesn't choke on me when I pull the drain plug. Make sure you got your right items. I think Walmart even sells, that's where I got it, the Toyota OEM filter. It's a cartridge filter and like a 5-quart of Mobile One or whatever you want. It's I think it's 0W20. Saw it written on something around here. Oh, there it is. Yeah, 0W20. Get 5 quarts of that. Get your cartridge filter. Make sure that you have a new O-ring for the cartridge. The OEM Toyota ones come with the O-ring, so if you go that route, you're good to go, and they're like $7 or less. So we're gonna go ahead and pop the drain plug. Okay, so your drain plug is 14 millimeter. So there's your oil pan right there. Don't do your transmission by accident. The transmission has a hex in it. Pretty hard to mess up. You got a 14 millimeter socket. Just check it to make sure it fits. Yep, get your pan positioned. I'm gonna crack that guy and do your best not to spill. Once you get that drain plug popped and it flowing pretty good, then I would take your fill cap off all the way just so it can flow out. I'll let it run till you really got nothing coming out. And then we'll attack. Let's see if we can get it framed. I'll do a little on my phone. Yeah, can't really see it. So there's a little bit of silver in the corner. That's where your cartridge cap is. So we'll go and take that guy off. Another thing you want to make sure you have is some crush washers for your drain plug. I had ordered a whole bunch of these when I replaced the oil filter housing, because before we got the car, somebody, or maybe the shop right when we got it, had done a really poor job of taking the cartridge filter out and messed up the housing, and I had to replace the entire thing. So anyway, that's what these O-rings are for. Make sure you have your crush washers. I think you can probably use copper ones from AutoZone, but I just order them online. Get a bag full of 5 of them and good to go. Another thing that's really helpful, so you can get the part number, there it is the actual socket, for lack of a better term, for the cartridge filter cover. This one's designed specifically for this type on the Toyotas. I can't remember, I think it's a 1.8 liter engine. But it's got the right fingers in here to grab the sides. Highly recommend getting one of these. They're like 20 bucks on Amazon, maybe less, but it'll make your life a lot easier. Okay, so we've got the housing right here. That's gonna have your cartridge filter in it. So you take your tool, find where it's happy in its alignment, and it sits in real nice. So you can get a side view of that. Nice and flush. Engages all the teeth here, so you got a really good bite on it. We'll take our 1/4-inch ratchet and pop this guy off. So all this orange stuff, that's the sealant that the last shop used after they completely destroyed at least the plastic cover. Probably didn't damage the original housing, but this little retention clip was missing, so I just replaced the whole thing. If you've got problems or if this is damaged, this is not a very hard job, and it's maybe a couple $100 for all the parts. I would just replace it rather than screwing around with it. But anyway, got that in. Go ahead and throw a ratchet on there, and as you can see, we got this guy loosened up. Once it gets loosened up, you can take your ratchet and your tool off. Make sure you keep some pressure on it to keep it square, because the engagement is a little shallow and it may want to pop off on you. You're putting this sucker back on. You're probably going to need the wrench because of the way it's designed, but do not crank it down. There's no need, just get it seated. Okay, so we got the housing, or the cartridge filter cover off. See, it's empty in there. I think I got my, there's the filter right there. There's the old housing. Make sure when you're doing this, you get the old crush washer off. You can see it there, stuck to my pan. Get that sucker off, or if you double stack them, you almost guaranteed to have a leak. A little more evidence of the crappy oil change places. I don't think it was, maybe it was apparent in a different frame I took, but look at that, more of that orange crud. So whatever oil change shop did this at some point didn't have a crush washer or something, and it was leaking, and they decided to use some kind of sealant. So I don't know, take it to the dealer you trust, or maybe you have a local shop that you trust, but sometimes it's better to do this crap on your own. It's a good opportunity to check your CVs and stuff landed here. I noticed this one. Most of that's actually my sweat. Kind of gross, but it's hot here in Arizona. But I do have what appears to be a little bit of a leak in that CV, so I have to decide if I'm going to continue to repair stuff on this car or get rid of it. I've also got to redo the struts, so it's a kid's car, and it may be worth just getting rid of it soon. Anyway, I'm just letting it drip out a little bit more, and we'll clean up the housing for the cartridge, put a new crush washer on the drain bolt, and then put it all back in and start filling it up with oil. I mentioned the O-ring earlier, so you got to take this guy off, replace it with your new one. Here's part number. I hope this is the right one. Let's check that before we get too far. Where's the part number? There's the part number. Almost looks too small. So here's the new washer to give you. Or washer. New O-ring. Here's the actual filter. Let's see. Yep, that's the right one. Cool. So now we're gonna replace our O-ring, slide this bad boy back in, put a little bit of oil on the new O-ring just so it has something to lube it for running it in. Okay, we got our new crush washer in. We're gonna go ahead and tighten this guy down to 27 foot-pounds. For the filter housing, or the cartridge filter holder, I couldn't find a reliable torque for it. I saw some stuff that said like 10 foot-pounds. I do have wrenches that go that low, but I think with that being that low, I've also seen just seat it, give it 3/4 of a turn. So I think we're gonna go that route. We're gonna get it seated 3/4 of a turn, or just bottom it out so we feel that O-ring is seated. Okay, clean up the mess. And since we use jack stands and the jack for this one instead of ramps, we're just gonna go ahead and lower the car and put the oil in, so less iterations. Okay, we got our good old Mobil 1 high mileage. I'm gonna go ahead and put roughly 4 quarts in. Check the dipstick, make sure there's some touching, fire it up, and then top it off. Also check for leaks. It's probably gonna be hard to see, but we have 4 quarts in, and the dipstick is showing completely full. Again, we gotta fire it up and get the filter actually saturated with oil, so it'll probably drop a bit. So we'll go ahead and start the engine, see where we're at. Okay, we're all buttoned up in here. She's all topped off. Let's see if I can show you without making a mess. Yeah, there we go. It's hard to see, but she's perfectly topped off. So we're gonna go ahead and reset the oil life, and we're done. Okay, it's a bit of a process to reset this. I'm gonna see if I can capture it. It's gonna be hard with one hand. I've already reset it, but just to recap, go to on, make sure you're in trip A, hold this guy, shut your key off. I'm gonna have to let it go, but shut your key off. You'd still be holding this. Turn the key on while holding it. Don't start. And you see it do this little countdown. Boom, flash, 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 back to trip A. So you're good to go. Light is reset. So we're all done. Forgot to mention, while it is running, make sure you don't have any leaks under here. Or check once. It's probably gonna be really noisy because the fan's going, but not seeing anything obvious, nothing on the ground. Good to go.